You were the last generation that got to be cringe in private. There's a video of you somewhere. You haven't seen it in 20 years. You don't know where it is. A degraded VHS in a shoebox, a digital camera that died in 2008, a basement someone else lives in now. Statistically, it exists. Practically, it's gone. That tape is the safest thing in your life. The kids growing up right now will never get this. We got something they will not, by accident, because of when we happened to be born. And we never thanked anyone, because we didn't know we had it. So let's name it. Let's just admit it, you were cringe. Not in a charming, looking back fondly way, in a real way. You wore something for an entire year you would now bury. You said something to your crush you've spent 20 years pretending you didn't. You had a phase. The phase was bad. If a clip of any of it surfaced tomorrow, you would die. You'd survive it, but you'd die. Pick a year. 8th grade is usually safe. Try to remember. The thing you wore that you thought was so cool. The username you used for everything. The thing you said when you were trying to be deep. One of those just hit, didn't it? That's not memory. That's your brain detonating something it filed away in 2003. The cringe was the whole point. That's how you figured out who you were. By trying on a self that didn't fit, walking around in it for 6 months, and quietly deciding you weren't that, then trying another one, until eventually, sometime in your 20s, you settled into something that was actually you. That trying on used to happen in private. You'd wear the wrong jeans, get one weird comment, and never wear them again. Nobody filmed it. Nobody screenshotted it. It existed for one Tuesday, and then it was gone. That was the deal. You got to fail in real time, alone, with no archive. Everyone was. The girl who seemed so confident at 13, she was, somewhere, writing in a journal she'd later set on fire. The guy who seemed so cool. He was practicing his autograph because he was going to be famous. The popular kid you couldn't read. He had a notebook with a different last name on it, the one he was going to use when he reinvented himself in college. All of us. 8 different terrible versions of ourselves in sequence. The reason that feels so vivid when you watch 8th Grade or Lady Bird is not because the writers got it right. It's because they got it normal. What you thought was uniquely embarrassing about you was just being 13. Every person in that room was, at the same time, also dying inside about something they wore, said, or wrote on a napkin and slid across a cafeteria table. Everyone was performing. Everyone was failing. Nobody was watching because nobody had the bandwidth. They were all too busy panicking about their own performance. It almost looks like grace. Now here's the strange part. You got away with it. I'll go first. There's a poem I wrote when I was 14. I won't tell you what it was about. I will tell you it had the word shards in it more than once. I will tell you I gave it to someone. I will tell you they were kind about it, which was worse. That poem exists in exactly 3 places. My memory, hers probably if she remembers it all, and a notebook in a box in a garage in a state I don't live in anymore. That's it. That's the whole archive. 3 people, 1 notebook, and time. If I were 14 now, that poem would be a note saved to iCloud. It would be screenshotted as a joke by someone I trusted. It would live, indexed and searchable, in 3 group chats I was never in. It would be findable by anyone who ever dated me, hired me, or got mad at me on the internet. But I'm not 14 now. I was 14 then, and the poem gets to stay where it is. That's how it used to work for everyone. You got to make mistakes in your formative years. Those mistakes existed for a small window in the memories of about 12 people, and then time did its job. The teenager you were got to die into the adult you became, with no resurrection. You don't think about this much because it's the air you breathe, but it's kind of miraculous. Imagine the alternative. Every cringe moment between 11 and 17, recorded, by you, by your friends, by cameras you didn't know about, uploaded to a platform that algorithmically promoted whichever moments were the funniest or the most painful, preserved indefinitely, searchable by your name, accessible to future bosses, future partners, your own children. That's the timeline you got spared from. You were a kid, you did kid things, then you grew up, and almost none of it followed you. That's the gift, the right to be ridiculous in private, the right to wear the wrong thing for a year, write the poem you'd later burn, and actually burn it instead of having it live forever in someone's screenshot folder, the right to grow up unwitnessed and to outgrow the worst versions of yourself into someone almost nobody else remembers you used to be. Nobody told you about it. You just grew up, and the cringe versions of you got to die quietly, the way humans have always died, into memory, into family stories, into the occasional 3 a.m. flashback when you remember something you said in 2003 and have to physically sit up in bed. Kids growing up right now don't have this. Not their fault. They didn't choose it any more than we chose ours, but the situation is real. Every embarrassing thing they do has a reasonable chance of being filmed. If they fall, it's a video. If they say the wrong thing, it's a screenshot. The kind of moment we had hundreds of, the kind we needed hundreds of in order to become people, could end up on TikTok by Tuesday. You can't rehearse who you are in front of a camera you know is there. We were the last ones who got to just be embarrassing and then be done. So if you remember a thing right now, a moment, a sentence, an outfit, a poem, a username, a kiss that didn't go the way you wanted, a Halloween costume that was a mistake, and your chest tightens slightly thinking about it, that's your cringe. It's yours. It's safe. It's not going anywhere because there's nowhere for it to go. It exists in you and a handful of other people. Someday those people will die, and the moment will die with them, and you will have lived a life in which the embarrassing things you did were allowed to fade. That's a kind of mercy. We didn't earn it, but we got it.